Have you ever smashed a workout then just to find yourself completely wiped out for the rest of the day? Maybe that's happening to you on a regular basis and you end up drinking buckets of coffee just to keep yourself going through the day. Well, I've been there, done that, so let's fix that. One of the main reasons why you may be feeling like this following your workouts is because of poor sleep habits. Every single one of us on this planet needs around 8 hours of sleep a day, and unfortunately, there is a very tiny percent of population that can get away with less sleep. General under recovery comes in with poor sleep, so you may be not eating enough protein to recover in between workouts, you may be dehydrated, or you simply just overtrained and you are either doing too much cardio or too much strength training or too much training in general. And what happens is that when you train consistently for a long period of time and you push yourself hard, that fatigue actually accumulates and you end up being in the state of overtraining. I personally done that many times, and one of the things that I always notice, because I have this watch, my HRV starts to go down, which indicates an early start of overtraining. But you may notice some other things, like you cannot sleep as well, you cannot fall asleep as easy, you feel like you're tired when you're waking up, and you're generally low energy through the day. So reducing the amount of training that you do may be a good idea, or switching your routine up. So if you're hitting strength training 5 times a week, maybe hit that 3 to 4 times a week, and then do a bit of cardio or join a yoga class to keep you moving, and that way you will still get some form of workout in, but your body will get a chance to recover. By the way, my name is Modi. I'm a personal trainer. I have my own personal training studio where I help people on a day-to-day basis to lose fat, get stronger, and feel better about themselves. And if you want to get on track and lose a jean size within the next 30 days, check the link down below in my description and start implementing the changes that I suggest into your lifestyle, and you will start seeing your jeans are getting looser. One more reason that I would like to touch on is your energy may be crashing because you're either spiking your sugar by eating very easy to digest carbohydrates frequently through the day, so that spikes your sugar and then it drops down, so you feel like you're crashing into the wall and you have no energy, or just generally skipping meals and not getting an adequate amount of calories in through the day, which normally leads you to eating a lot of shit in the evening. Again, talking from personal experience. And there's multiple steps to resolve your low energy problems. One of them is fixing your sleep, so try to sleep 8 hours a day. And if you're really struggling to fall asleep, I have borrowed a method from Andy Galpin, who's a very known physical performance researcher and one of the leading names in strength and conditioning industry. But anyways, like, one of his ways that he suggested is absolutely brutal. However, it works like a treat, and it did for me. So if you're struggling to fall asleep, let's say you always want to wake up at 6 a.m., but then you're struggling to fall asleep in the evening. You just simply deprive yourself of sleep consciously. So you go into the bed whatever amount of time it takes you to fall asleep. Let's say you fall asleep 1 a.m., and then you just wake up at 6 and get off and going. Few days will be quite brutal and you will be low energy, again, talking from personal experience. However, as the week or so will go by, then you start falling asleep a lot earlier. So it took me 2 weeks, waking up 4:40 a.m., until I could fall asleep around 9:30 p.m. And it was quite brutal for those 2 weeks. However, it worked. So now I find that falling asleep is a little bit easier, and waking up 4:40 a.m., it feels reasonable at this point. So there's one way to fix that. However, I don't think this is necessarily the best way for everyone. So research some other ways to fix your sleep as well, because I think this is not necessarily the healthiest way. But I know my body, that's what I've done, and it worked for me. Another step is think about fueling your body, not in terms of just eating whatever you find. So make sure that you remove all the sugary drinks and all the fizzy drinks in general and swap that for water. And no, you don't have to remove all the carbs. Just make sure if you're eating carbohydrates, pair that with protein. So if you're having 50 grams of carbohydrates, have 30, 40 grams of protein as well. That way you will fuel your body properly. And imagine if you could make your body run on rocket fuel. That's what you would want to do instead of running it on the regular petrol. Because if you are fueling your body properly, it will perform more like a rocket rather than an old Opel Astra or Vauxhall Astra. I have a very deep heartburn from having two Astras in the past. I don't like these cars. The next step is when it comes to training, you need to do strength training and pair that with some other lighter activities, which might be walking, cycling, light running, yoga, mobility type of workouts to make sure that you get enough recovery in between your tougher sessions, because you cannot be burning your body at like high temperature all the time. You need to wind down and let it recover before you can attack the world and perform even better. And the way I see all these things, if you think about your phone battery, when it drops down to 10%, it goes into battery saving mode. Of course, it still works and functions. However, it doesn't function to its full potential. So if your body is running on a 10% battery, it will not perform as optimally as the one who may be running on 80% battery, because you got a lot more fuel to burn in terms of like literal fuel from your food. And if you slept and rested well, you will be able to attack those workouts a lot more intensely, and that will lead to better results. Because if you sleep well, that's your body recovers, builds muscle, goes through adaptations, and then if you have more energy the next day, you can train harder. Amazing, isn't it? Let me summarize that quickly. So prioritize your sleep and try to fix your sleep routine. Then make sure that you eat starchy carbohydrates with protein. Manage your stress well and make sure that your training routine is like a little bit more versatile, what we call a hybrid nowadays. That you have a nice mix of strength training and a bit of cardio. It's a little bit more individual when it comes to goals, but that's just some generic recommendations for me without me knowing you. And if you enjoyed this video, YouTube thinks that you will enjoy this one too. So go and watch it and let me know down in the comments what else you would like me to cover